Poor, misguided wanderers. First there were many, and now so few. How little.
Make the theme much more potent.
The Sable fucking World Girl is such a slut. I don't know why they fucking make girls like that and put them in fucking video games. Like, you know, all these fucking little high schoolers are gonna be looking at that, and all those fucking 40-year-old men are gonna be drooling over it. Like, just fucking stop, man. It's not fucking cool to put in this shit. It's unnecessary, and you fucking know it.
Damage to them. Much like how gory kills help keep the pace up by allowing more.
Like, for real, dog. Look at the two fucking people beside her, and then we got this shit. Like, just stop, dude. Just stop. This is a fucking horror game. We don't need to be dressed up like sluts, okay?
Back to the core weapons.
Oh, but it looks so cute and pretty. No, you look like you're ready to take my fucking cock and be silly all Saturday night. Fucking Tuesday morning, too.
Really, only the lock-on burst is any good because of how gimmicky the remote detonation is. And then there's the super shotgun. Although it functions pretty identically in both games, there are key differences. Obviously, the big difference is the addition of the beat hook in Doom Eternal. Not only is this mod great at closing the distance with some enemies, it's also great to quickly get out of a hairy situation. And, when fully modified, it can also ignite enemies just like the Flame Belch, allowing you to regain armor. With such a versatile mod, there was bound to be one drawback, and that is the fact that it isn't as powerful as Gen 16 Super Shotgun. When fully modified, 16 Super Shotgun can easily take down even the tankiest enemies. It might seem a bit broken as such, but it's nice nonetheless. Next is the Gauss Cannon and Ballista. As I mentioned earlier, both these weapons are functionally the same. Key differences are their mods. The R-Ballista precision shots are pretty similar to each other as both use a scope to focus in on certain enemies. The key difference is that the precision shot charges a slightly more powerful cannon shot, and the R-Ballist basically applies a more powerful sticky bomb on its target. The Ballista also gets a destroyer blade, which is a charged beam that slices through everything in its path. Although quite potent, its obvious weakness is that it slows the Slayer down and can be dodged by demons. The reason the mod is like this is because of how broken Siege mode was on the Gauss cannon. It functions very similarly to the destroyer blade, but with one key difference. It was a hit scan attack. The most powerful single attack outside the BFG and chainsaw was essentially impossible to miss with. Don't get me wrong, I love it, but it's so easy to cheese encounters with, especially with the infinite ammo rune. The chain gun has been retooled between both games. In Doom 16, it used to require you to spin the barrel up before you could fire at its highest speed. But with the removal of the Gatling rotator mod, it just fires at its highest speed right off the bat. That mod's place is an energy shield mod, which I never really found useful because of how the game emphasizes speed and movement above all else. So, if you're getting hit, a shield really isn't going to help you. But it can be good in cheesing any marauders, and both games also feature the mobile turret, which is just peak ridiculousness, but in a good way. If there was one weapon, however, that was completely overhauled between the two games, it was the chainsaw. In both titles, the chainsaw acts as an instant kill attack that requires a certain amount of charges depending on how big the enemy you're trying to kill is. Upon dicing the demon up, it will drop a considerable amount of ammo for all your weapons. However, the chainsaw has been nerfed in Doom Eternal. No longer can you use it to take down a Baron or Mancubus. It's limited to only 3 gas can charges, but will at least automatically refill the first charge. The reason for this change is due to how it reworks the ammo reserves in Doom Eternal. Weapons don't have nearly the amount of ammo they used to have in Doom 16. As such, you're required to use the chainsaw more often to replenish your ammo mid-combat. The reasons given for this are kind of sketchy, if I'm being honest. The idea is that it forces players to switch more often between weapons, and although this is kind of true, it really doesn't work out that way. For one, weaker enemies just aren't the threat they used to be in Doom 16, so going into an arena, most of your attention will go to the elite demons above all else. As long as you ignore mostly imps, soldiers, and zombies, you will always have a constant supply of ammo at hand by chainsawing them. So, the idea that this forces that's only limited to a few select vehicles and weapons. By contrast, because the Doom 16 chainsaw can be used to take down larger enemies, using them as a strategy, run a charge a soldier for more ammo, even for a lone rifle bear. I honestly felt more compelled to use my full arsenal in Doom 16 because of this difference. I didn't have this constant feeling of micromanagement. I could simply tackle every encounter in my own way. This is one of the key differences between both games' combat approaches. Doom Eternal wants players to bend backs or tactics against each particular enemy, whereas Doom 16 feels more like an extension of the original Doom 2, where it's mostly up to the player on how they handle themselves. The engines have become a standard backs or tactics against each particular enemy type, whereas Doom 16 Doom 2, where it's mostly up to the player and how they handle themselves. Tangents have become a standard theme, and especially as I learn new things, but I also find the need to clarify things while I'm editing. Case in point here, you can use the chainsaw to take down a Mancubus. I just didn't know this. For the past 3 years, I didn't know this because of my find the need to clarify things while I'm editing. Case in point here, you can use the chainsaw to take down a Mancubus. I just didn't know this. For the past 3 years, I didn't know this because of my experiences in 2016, where it took like 5 charges to take down a Mancubus. I'm going to take full responsibilities for this. I do think Doom Eternal did not do a good job of communicating that. Because I was so used to how Mancubus worked in Doom 16, I really attempted to try and take it down with a chainsaw with 3 charges. It just never came to my mind. On top of that, I'm also well aware that the Crucible acts as sort of a proxy to the chainsaw in this game, because you can't use it to take down super heavy units. It's basically what happens when you combine the chainsaw with the BFG. That makes any sense. A single charge can be used to take down any enemy that's in your way, but unlike the chainsaw, it doesn't give ammo. It just gives health. Ultimately, what my point here is with the chainsaw is that, much like the rest of the combat, it adds a lot of micromanagement to the game. I'm just not a fan of that. Chainsaw was just to use Doom 16 it just feels like a chore to use. It just feels like it's an item I have to use instead of enjoying using.
Why
That
am I
makes
getting
any sense.
weirdos? What is fucking epic?
Of course, brings us to the topic of the creature design in both games. I'm not going to break down every enemy type in both games like I did with the weapons. This is partially due to the fact that this script will be much longer than it already is, but also because the enemies that cross over between both titles function pretty much the same way. The only difference is whether they were buffed or nerfed between both titles. Doom Eternal decided to classify demons by tiers, specifically fodder demons, heavy demons, and super heavy demons. I'm going to go ahead and say there's actually another tier between
Like
fodder
what? I
and
better
heavy
be matched
that I
with
will
other
simply
Devotion
call
5.
medium. This is because there are demons classified as heavy, but they're not nearly as tanky as other heavies like the pain elementals of Mancubus. They can still be quite dangerous, as we'll get into, but they don't require as much effort to take down. Fodder demons are exactly as they sound. They're not particularly threatening enemies that you basically use to resupply your resources like health, ammo, and armor. These include imps, soldiers, and zombies. In Doom 16, these demons could actually give you a lot of trouble, especially early on in the game. Granted, not the zombies, of course. Sure, they were quick to dispatch with, but if you weren't careful, they could actually kill you quite easily. Now they're a complete joke, and outside of the first arena in the game, they barely put up a fight at all the rest of the game. There are 3 new enemies to this category. The Mecha Zombie, which is just a regular zombie but with a flamethrower. Needless to say, despite the arsenal upgrade, it isn't a threat at all. And then there's the
Yes, it is. Clearly, this guy doesn't play on fucking
annoying.
Nightmare. Oh, what fucking mode this guy's playing on? It's not fucking Nightmare. The fuck?
As its attacks deal decent damage and it loves to fly away from you. They're a perfect target a lot of the time for the meat hook. And then there's these annoying annoying tentacles. These things only tend to show up in purple and green slime sections. They're not all that easy to spot in this crap, and really only serve to grind the pacing to a halt. What makes them really annoying is where you're expected to shoot them. Most enemies tend to have you focus on headshotting them, which makes sense. The tentacles, however, require you to aim closer to their base to kill them as quickly as possible. If you miss, they do a ridiculous amount of damage for fodder demons. I hate them. They don't really serve any beneficial purpose to the game, and yet there are still far bigger annoyances than them. Let's get into the medium demons. These include returning ones like cacodemons, pinkies, specters, Hell Knights, and Revenants. However, there are plenty of new ones too, like the Arachnotron, Dread Knights, Maker Drones, Prowlers, Carcasses, and Whiplashes. Let's start with the returning demons first. The one that has remained practically unchanged is the Hell Knight. Both versions are tanky, melee rushers designed to overwhelm, but mostly harass the player. The one in Doom Eternal feels a little tankier, but only just so. Cacodemons are similar between both titles. They both do what the original Cacodemons do by being tanky, floating versions of imps that shoot dodgeable fire attacks while also trying to take a bite off you if they get too close. As I revealed before, their weakness in Eternal is shooting a sticky bomb into their mouth, but they're also a lot more aggressive in Doom Eternal. We're getting close for a melee fight much more than shooting their ranged attack. Pinkies and Spectres have been greatly nerfed compared to their Doom 16 counterparts. Both versions are melee rushers where their front is shielded from damage, requiring you to flank them and shoot at their vulnerable backsides to kill. But in Doom Eternal, they're no longer completely immune to frontal damage and take less shots to kill thanks to its tail being a weak spot. Revenants are the same except for one small but big change. Both versions are severely less threatening than the original Revenant from Doom 2. They both fire rockets that are really hard to hit you unless you stay completely still and only do moderate melee damage. The Eternal one, however, is even weaker than its 16 counterpart due to its cannons now being weak spots. So 2 potshots with a scoped heavy cannon reduce the Revenant to a powerless limp. Not really a fan of how either the Revenant or Pinky was treated. The Revenant just feels like an afterthought. The Pinky used to be quite enjoyable to take down in Doom 16, but the nerf it received makes it feel like another unnecessary addition to a rogues gallery. It's already too bloated in Doom Eternal. Alright, let's cover some of these new creatures. I'm not going to bother going over all of them because many just feel like filler. Maker drones, prowlers, and dread knights are the biggest offenders in this regard. The drones are just glorified health and ammo caches. They can be killed with a single scoped shot from the heavy cannon. The prowlers are just beefed up imps with teleport ability, but lack a lot of health so they can be dispatched with easily. And dread knights are just slightly beefed up hell knights that exist because id probably didn't want to overuse the barons of hell. They're all bored and don't really add anything in terms of skill to take down. The prowler is interesting. As a reference to the Nightmare Imps from Doom 64, but that's about it. Arachnotrons return from Doom 2. They get introduced right out of the gate in level 1, and they're pretty fun to be honest, but they're definitely a beginner's trap. Although hitting their plasma rifle is recommended as it's a weak spot, it's only really necessary in the early game before you have access to more powerful weapons like
I don't care. As soon as I hit that fucking shit on the generator, I'm
only shields that fire the plasma rifle chew through. That really isn't what's annoying about it, though. These fuckers have an unnecessary large amount of attacks. They can shoot sonic basic. Pound shockwaves at you, and have an annoying melee attack with good distance range that can stun lock you. They suck, but at least their health pool is low. Shields can be used against them. Once you disperse it with the plasma rifle, it will actually explode, which means that the explosion can kill the carcasses. Those bastards can't hold a flame to the whiplash. Forget the
I'll do one more.
I know a lot of people say that launch
against this fucking ball.
Flashes the worst enemy in the game. They are hard to hit because of how easily they can dodge your attacks, are surprisingly very tanky with their high health pool, and can dish out hard to avoid attacks that can be chained together. So they're the perfect combination of dangerous and annoying, and I hate them because of that. Both them and the carcasses are a good example of the balancing issues in Doom Eternal's creature design. There are well-designed ones like the Cacodemons and Arachnotrons, but those feel very few and far between on all of the easily forgettable Doom Eternal's creature design. There are well-designed ones like the Cacodemons and Arachnotrons, but those feel very few and far between of all of the easily forgettable ones like the Revenants and Hell Knights and the infuriating ones like Carcasses and Whiplashes. Next up are the true heavy demons. This includes the returning Mancubus and Cyber Mancubus, and the new, but returning Pain Elemental. The reason why I consider these three to be in a class of their own is because of their unique combination of health and attack potency. The Mancubus and Cyber Mancubus are similar between both games. They're both big, fat, meat shields with extremely dangerous plasma/acid rifles. But whereas your best strategy to deal with them in Doom 16 was just to blast them with your most powerful weapons, Doom Eternal mixes things up a little. Plasma cannons are the standard form in no weak spots now. Taking those out doesn't kill the Mancubus, but it does reduce its health.
Like, what the you don't need to put this shit in your game, dog. Get a life. The fuck?
Attack power. Essentially, disarming them can mean you can either
Jesus
try to
Christ.
finish them off or turn your attention to bigger threats. The cyber version, by contrast, is dealt with punching it. This will take off its armor and make it more vulnerable to damage. Pain Elementals are the second most annoying enemy in the game. Just like their Doom 2 counterpart, they have an unreasonable amount of health, but now they can also easily dodge certain attacks. Just like in Doom 2, they summon Lost Souls, but these are the new Lost Souls, which are basically kamikaze bombs, so they can cause a ridiculous amount of damage if you leave them alive. They're answer was to be another reference to it's not a good excuse. It's like From Software bringing back a bit of chaos to laws of Elden Ring. It's so clearly a bad idea. If something is bad and you want to bring it back, then fix it. Truly players with flaws, the accessories, to video games. Like I mentioned before, it's all about balance. If you want games to be difficult, they should be fair in their difficulty. They shouldn't be like this. And yet somehow this is more preferable compared to the garbage that they developed with the Ancient Gods DLC. As you can see here, I have some issues with Doom Eternal's difficulty. I might as well talk about it now, because the super heavy creatures are honestly not that bad. They're all super tanky, powerful demons, but have actual strategy to them in terms of how to take them down. They each serve a unique purpose and are fun to take down as a result. I will talk about them in more depth, but only after I get my feelings for the rest of the game's difficulty off my chest first. See, the reason for a lot of these design decisions was down to how it treats the
Yeah, I don't